Sandra?
All right, let's bring in House GOP Conference Chair Elise Stefanik. She's also a Republican New York Congresswoman. Thank you so much for joining. Good to have you on the program.
Great to be with you.
So does it make sense for your party, as J.D. Vance is about to do, to be focusing on the border in this sort of counter-programming moment to the DNC?
Absolutely. The border and the wide open border under Kamala Harris's role as the open border czar is one of the top two issues, no matter what district. In many districts and many swing states, it is the top issue that voters are paying attention to. Kamala Harris will be accountable for her failed record. Again, she was designated by President Joe Biden as his border czar. She owns the millions of illegals that have poured into our country. And look at the recent news this week, Sandra. This is nearly 300,000 minors who have been lost by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's failure, lost into human trafficking, sex trading. This is a humanitarian crisis as well as a national security crisis. And it's not just the southern border. I represent what's called the Swanton sector of the northern border. We've had a skyrocketing number, more than ever before, of illegals crossing the northern border, including those on the terrorist watch list. So it's a national security crisis as well.
Just to be clear, Congresswoman, I think DHS found that there's some 360,000 unaccompanied children have been released into the country. It's about 32,000 that they cannot account for. But I find this interesting.
No, that's not true, John. If you look back at the New York Times, a year and a half ago, it was 90,000 that they could not account for. They cannot account for nearly 300,000. So a year and a half, it shows that that's almost tripled. Again, to try to wipe this under the rug, that's what the DNC is trying to do. They're trying to wipe away this absolutely catastrophic record. It is a humanitarian crisis, and it impacts every district. I'll give you two examples in upstate New York. There was a 14-year-old minor girl raped by an illegal that was released into this country under Kamala Harris's watch. In Syracuse, towards the western region of where I represent, you had a 21-year-old girl who was killed, buried in a public park, killed by an illegal, again, released under Kamala Harris's watch. And law enforcement found her body in a public park, John. So this is a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions.
I mean, there is no question that, a lot of unaccompanied children have been released into this country. Some of them are unaccounted for, and they are at risk of falling into child prostitution, other kinds of indentured servitude, and DHS just can't get a handle on where they are. But the question that I was leading to is that at every opportunity, former President Trump embraces his record on the border and is down there talking about it, whereas at every opportunity, Kamala Harris tries to run from hers. Supporters and friendly media even insisting that she was never appointed as the border czar.
Well, you point out a really important point that voters are paying attention to, John. President Trump is leaning into his very successful record, leading to the most secure border in modern history. That's why House Republicans passed the Secure the Border bill, the toughest border security measure, certainly in my lifetime, certainly since I've been in Congress. And we need to make sure that we return to those effective border policies. It is Kamala Harris and the Democrats who are running as far away as possible from even talking about this issue, because it's been an epic failure under her watch as the open border czar. She owns this catastrophe, and President Trump is correct to highlight this very significant difference between the most secure border under his policies, ending catch and release, restoring remain in Mexico, and building a wall, versus mass amnesty under Kamala Harris.
I want to ask you where you are on Walz, Harris's running mate, and whether or not he is misrepresenting his military record. The Trump campaign has now sent out this letter from dozens of veterans in Congress making this point. I'll put some of it up on the screen. This was a letter to Tim Walz. You have stated you are damn proud of your service, and like any American veteran should be. But there is no honor in lying about the nature of your service, repeatedly claiming to be a retired command sergeant major when you did not complete the requirements was not honorable. Where are you on this, Congresswoman?
Well, that's factually accurate. Is Tim Walz is trying to take credit for a position that he did not have, that he did not earn. And the American people deserve to know that. Compare that with J.D. Vance, who faced multiple deployments and has not embellished his record. Tim Walz is going to be held accountable. That's what happens when you run for these national offices. So it's important for voters to have all of the facts. Actually, later this evening, I'm going to a veterans event in Fulton County in upstate New York, and they are very concerned with the misrepresentation misrepresentation of Tim Walz, and they strongly support President Trump and J.D. Vance, and that's why they're going to vote overwhelmingly for President Trump, certainly in upstate New York.
So the Harris-Walz campaign has walked back his statement from 2019 where he said that he carried weapons of war in war, saying that he misspoke. But now the New York Times and other outlets are saying that when he was congressman for the 1st District of Minnesota, he put out a challenge coin in which there was the insignia of Command Sergeant Major emblazoned on it. This photograph is being shared online through different sourcing, by the way. There's a number of these coins out there. You can see the upper left-hand corner. That is the Command Sergeant Major insignia. Here is what John Ratcliffe, former acting Director of National Intelligence, said about it.
This wasn't just a momentary misrepresentation about his service. I mean, he presented a challenge coin. You know, a challenge coin is something that we create as political figures that represents who we are. And on that, he said he was a command sergeant major, a rank that he never held. And that's why you see veterans so upset about this issue.
I should say the former director, not the acting. But we have reached out to the campaign, Congresswoman, to find out what they have to say about it. They have not gotten back to us yet. But how are you struck by this idea that there may be a challenge coin out there that he gave out when he was a member of Congress that would seem to misrepresent the rank that he retired at?
It's inexcusable, and John Ratcliffe is exactly right that he put the title that he did not earn. He put the rank that he did not earn, and it is important that the American people know that. It is important for elected officials, particularly for president and vice president, but any member of Congress, that you not misrepresent with titles that you have not earned. And that is an affront to so many veterans, so many military retirees across this country. That's why there's so much focus on that. So I'm not surprised that the Harris-Walz campaign has not responded, because there's no answer to that. He misrepresented a rank that he did not earn.
Congressman, always good to have you on the program. Come back soon. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you again.
Thank you.